right? We start at the top with the business goals, and then we work down how marketing fits in. And that really seems to help. I mean, the other thing I'll say is, especially with startups, a marketing plan is not set in cement, right? It's definitely something that has to be revisited quite often because things change so quickly in the startup environment. So while I love having a plan and absolutely think it's important to have one, you also need to be able to be flexible.
The goals thing where you're starting at, that's always that's a tough one. I mean, if you ask somebody, I guess they say, "Well, what's our goal is to be bought out for 100 million." I mean, how do you sort of put a cap on the goal? How do you make it realistic? How do you
Mm-hmm.
make it something that is real? I guess if that's a bit vague, that question, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, of course, everybody would love a large exit, right? But that's not necessarily a goal for the year ahead that you're working. And typically with a marketing plan, you might only be working 6 months ahead. So what are you trying to accomplish in 6 months? If it's you want to bring in 100,000 in sales, you want to hire two new teammates, you want to raise a round of funding, right? Those are all far more tangible goals than I want a large exit. So, we work to kind of figure some of those things out of, what is truly realistic in the next 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, that type of thing.
Yeah, and as far as the actual marketing and the execution of the marketing, can you give us some ideas of what things need to be done over what period to get results?
I always start with messaging as a foundation, right? And I'll say this over and over again, but if you can be in all the marketing channels everywhere, and if your messaging is terrible and doesn't match up with your audience, it is going to fall on, like, no one is going to hear it. No one's going to understand. No one's going to connect with it. So I always start with messaging first, make sure we understand value proposition. We understand mission. We understand, where are we going? And then to that point, do we really know our audience? Do we know who we're connecting with and why? Why does our solution solve for their problem?